Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another wrestling review here at the BC WrestlePod Network. And welcome to the Progressive Review, your progress wrestling review show here on BC WrestlePod. Of course, my name is Mikey. I am one of the hosts here. And of course, joining me this evening from unknown location, I'm just kidding, this is my other co-host for Progress Wrestling and Andrew, who is having a bit of a different setup, and I appreciate him being here, even though he is not in his current location. So I appreciate you being here, my friend.
Absolutely. Yeah. Glad I could still make it even though on the road.
Yeah, so we are here tonight to review Chapter 181 for Progress Wrestling, which is Far From Ordinary People. It has been a little bit of a hiatus for Progress because between this event and the last chapter, Chapter 180, which was the Super Strong Style 16 tournament, so it's been a hot minute. But now we are back in full swing for Progress, and we are back to review another chapter. So we find ourselves not in our normal place of the Electric Ballroom, but we find ourselves in the O2 Ritz in Manchester, which, we'll talk about a little bit because we got two events coming up very soon, and then they announced when their next live show is going to be not in the Electric Ballroom. So we're going to talk about that at the very end. But before we get into all of this, if you are new to BC WrestlePod, we are a group of, at this point, 12 individuals. Yes, there's a lot of us, y'all, and we keep growing. We literally have our own baseball/kickball team ready to go. But if you are new here to BC WrestlePod, thank you for being here. Whether you found us on your own, through a friend, or the algorithm, we are 12 people who love to talk about wrestling. We review all the US-based promotions, including some of the international ones and some independent ones as well. But if you cannot dedicate yourself to watching a full-length review, you can follow us on the social medias at BC WrestlePod to get the summarized version of everything that we do. And then, of course, we have some merchandise, which, of all the review teams, our summer collection, we have our Pride collection. And then, of course, we have a special collection dedicated to raising funds for helping out people being affected by the current state of the affairs. The world is burning, but we are not going down without a fight. Viva la raza. Anyways, so without further ado, let's just jump straight into this. So once again, we are covering Progress Chapter 181, Far From Ordinary People. And we kick things off so this show had a couple of changes due to some injuries, due to some other stuff. So we're not going to mention what was originally scheduled. We're going to go with what we have. So we kick things off with, I want to say round 2 at this point, since we started covering Progress between these two. So we get Man Like Doris versus Ethan Allen. So these two have a bitter rivalry, and due to some circumstances, they decided, you know what, let's go for round 2 at Chapter 181. I thought this was a really fun way to open up the show. Ethan Allen is really good. Of course, Man Like Doris coming off of Super Strong Style 16 as your winner of that tournament, which all pretty much gives him a championship match down the line at some point, which we're going to talk about it at the very end. But these two are just fighting and hating on each other. So why not? Just let them fight. That is the best way to describe it. So, Andrew, I'm going to come to you. What did you think of our opener for this match?
Yeah, I was a little surprised that Man Like Doris was going to be in the opening. It makes sense because he's got a lot of energy, especially going against Ethan Allen. And this is a rematch from their match during the Strong Style tournament. It made more sense when we got to the end of the night why he opened up the night. But the match itself was a lot of fun. Ethan Allen is just that strong style through and through. Man Like Doris is super entertaining, and I think wrestling against someone like Ethan Allen is really good, especially with him looking at getting that title shot, because obviously Ethan Allen is friends with the current champion, so there's that little tie in there. But I think Man Like Doris going against someone with the style of Ethan Allen also it shows the serious side of Man Like Doris and shows him doing that kind of gritty wrestling, which I think was really good. It was a really fun match. It was a good opener. So this was a solid choice, and it was a fun match to open with.
100%. And I could see these two fight forever at this point, which they're probably going to, given the fact that Progress Wrestling's roster is, I don't want to say super small, but we'll say they utilize or they try to utilize everyone to the best of their ability based on who is available, which we love to see. Ultimately, Man Like Doris does pick up the victory here against Ethan Allen. So Ethan continuing to stay strong, but still can't get one over on Doris. But who knows? We'll see what happens as we inch ever so closer to this inevitable match that we're going to get, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So, after this match, we jump into our first of two Pick Your Poison matches. So, leading into Kanji and Nina Samuels' match at Stay Humble, each of them got to pick an opponent for the other in a Pick Your Poison match, and Nina Samuels has selected to have Kanji face Lana Austin. So, as we know, Kanji has been a staple here in Progress Wrestling for pretty much as long as I can remember. She was involved in a very fun feud that I got to keep up with through the social medias when it was her and Giselle Shaw fighting for the Progress Women's Championship when Jenny was the champion during the pandemic era. And then she's also been popping up all over the place, including Rev Pro UK. She's about to, if I remember correctly, I think she's going to be involved in a title match against Mercedes Monday at Summer Sizzler. I could be wrong on that. Please don't quote me. But Nina Samuels has decided, you know what? I don't want Kanji to make it to Stay Humble in one piece. So let's throw Lana Austin. And from what we've seen of Lana so far, she's a bruiser. She is a little bit of a dirty tactician. She will do what she can to win. And it definitely showed in this match. What I loved about this match is I love that since we started covering Progress in this capacity, it was really nice to see Kanji finally in a match. And I do love her style of wrestling where she's just going to bulldoze you if she needs to, which has been really great. But I also really enjoyed Lana in this one. I think this was a really good matchup. Both of them are very similar in the way they fight. I got to chuckle out of Lana trying to cheat like 30 seconds into the match with the rope assist. So that was a lot of fun. Andrew, what did you think of our girls in action here?
I thought this was another solid match. I really enjoy the fact that with Kanji, you can feel that she's back and she's trying. It's not in a negative way. It's like she's trying to make up for lost time. It's that like I had to take this much time off to recover and get back. I'm not going to waste any time now. And she just brings that energy with her. You know, she's got that kind of gritty style. Obviously, Lana Austin's got a little bit of size on her. So, you know, there was like that challenge going on. So I thought it was really good back and forth. I will say, I really enjoyed the match. Thought it was good. Thought this was a good build to what we're obviously going to get with Nina Samuels and Kanji eventually. So I thought that was good. There was some stuff that came up later. We'll talk about with Lana Austin that I thought was a little more questionable. Outside of the match, and I just bring this up because this is when I really noticed it at this point, and I don't know if this was just on my stream. I've noticed it in previous streams with Progress too, is there's like some audio issues where there's a lag between the video and the actual sound, and you can really tell it on commentary because they'll react to things that's slightly off from what's happening in the ring. But this one especially, and I know they're outside of the Electric Ballroom, the commentators were much quieter than like the announcer, than the entrance music and that kind of stuff. So there were some things that got lost while some of that was happening because I couldn't hear one over the other. Again, that's all just technical issues. It wasn't anything that like I would knock the show for specifically. It was just at this point that I really noticed it on this card. But match wise, this match was really good. I love seeing Kanji back here. I want to see more of Kanji. You know, I'm nervous about what's going to happen with the loser leaves progress kind of a thing. And with both of them, because I don't really want to see either of the two leave because I'd like to see more from them. So I just hope whoever does lose that and has to leave progress is getting to go on to somewhere else that we get to see more of them. Like obviously they're not going to just permanently leave, but I think especially because Kanji just came back, I'm like, I don't want to see her leave progress yet. She just got back here.
Well, I mean, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in depth when we get to Nina's match against her pick your poison opponent. But now that Nina, not to say that us putting this into existence is what changed it, but being able to see Nina fill in the missing parts that we've been wanting since we started covering Progress. Now I'm just like, now I kind of don't want to see Nina to leave either. But we'll talk about the ending. But in our first of two championship bouts that we got for Far From Ordinary People, we get the Progress Tag Team Championship match in which we see our champions, Sunshine Machine, have their first title defense since winning these titles back a couple months ago against the Smoking Aces, who now have disbanded. And they are taking on the challengers of Lycos Gym. So Kid Lycos and Lycos the second. So I was not prepared for the heelishness
Yeah.
from Lycos Gym. I was like, now it wasn't like a straight up like twirling of the mustache, like evil villainy type of turn. But I was like, "Ooh, we kinda playing dirty." Not I'm not against it, I think that's kinda cool, but I'm also like, I hope we get some sort of explanation because 'cause I'm like, it kind of feels like we're missing some pieces here, which I'm not mad at. Now, that aside, the match was really, really good. I love seeing Lyco's gym. They are always fantastic. I really love and I have grown to love Sunshine Machine so much. I think
Mhm.
their offense is really unique when it comes to tag teams and the way they go about certain things. Also, I always get a kick of their gear every time they come out. And I was like, what hairstyle are we about to see next? And we got the whole, I was like, that hair gel tried, but it could not keep
Yeah.
that spiked up hair up by the end of this match. This was a good back and forth. Very surprised because we got new champions out of this match. We had some really questionable spots where I'm like, we're doing closed fists now, Lycos Jim? Like, what is happening? We had a loaded up knee for a knee strike for the finisher. How is this?
Maybe.
May
We never saw it. Commentary said something, but
these questions I have need answered. But I'm excited to see. So again, this match, we had Lycos Jim walk out as our new Progress Tag Team champs. Andrew,
yeah.
as our tag team aficionado, what did you think?
So, I mean, first of all, I will say this would have been my match of the night if it weren't for the match that ended up being my match of the night. And so, phenomenal match. Loved it. Really enjoyed both of these tag teams. So, I had no doubt that this was going to be a top contender for match of the night. Great tag team wrestling. Have loved, especially seeing Lycos Gym pop up in a few other places. And looking forward to getting to see this. This was kind of one of the matchups I hoped we would see when Sunshine Machine won the titles. I will say, I don't know how I feel about the heel tactics from Lycos Gym and really from Kid Lycos mostly. There were moments when I was worried that this was going to be one of those, he's going to do so much stuff that we're going to see them split up as a tag team. Like it almost felt like that to a certain extent because it was clear they weren't quite on the same page. Obviously, he was frustrated. They're trying to progress and no pun intended, get back at the top of the division. I want to see where we're going with this. I want to see more story because so far all we've really gotten is kind of like what happened in the ring. I want to see more from this. I want to see if this was just a moment of stress and trying to win at any cost. I want to see if this is something that Lycos 2 is going to fall in line with, if we're going to get a full heel turn from them. Are they not going to go full heel? Are they going to be kind of that tweener, kind of willing to do whatever it takes? And if they need to cut some corners, they will, but most of the time they're going to be just doing good tag team wrestling. I just want to see more development in that area. I have faith in progress that we will get more. I'm just looking forward to seeing more because as of right now, I'm kind of iffy on those tactics. And I'm looking forward to seeing who we're going to get to see wrestle next. Are we going to get, some footage that we didn't see during the show that's going to show a possible loaded knee? And so we'll get a rematch between the two, or were they going to move on from this and face some other tag teams? But either way, I'm sure it'll be phenomenal tag team wrestling. And like I said, this was at this point and for most of the rest of the night was my match of the night.
Right, and it's been an interesting story. I hope we do get to see I would love this feud to continue between Lycos Gym and Sunshine Machine, only because of the fact that it's felt like we just had the Sunshine Machine
Yeah.
get these titles back or get these titles, because for the first half of this year, they were feuding with the tag champs, which were the Smoking Aces, and then we got that match at Fix Your Hearts, which saw Sunshine Machine win those titles and Smoking Aces disband. So I'm hoping that for the second half of this year, we get Lycos Gym still feuding with the Sunshine Machine, as well as, who else? We might get some other contenders up in here. So I hope we get some sort of explanation and we get some story progression. I'm gonna be so for real. I would not be surprised come November we see a rematch between these two teams at Vendetta, which is from at least from my understanding, outside of Super Strong Style 16, Vendetta is like the big event for progress and towards the tail end of the year. So I hope we get to see some development in somethings. But again, this was a fantastic match. Lycos Gym walk out as your new Progress Tag Team Champs. So then we close out the first half of our show with our second Pick Your Poison match. This is Kanji's pick for Nina Samuels. So Nina Samuels is taking on the self-proclaimed indie god herself in Blackheart. It is no secret. Anybody who has watched BC WrestlePod in the last 3 years knows that we have special Love it for Shotzi. She is the lovable weirdo. One of our other hosts, Crossway, did a horror movie with her way back in the day. So I was like, there's that connection there. But we just love Shotzi's no nonsense attitude and how she's just down for the cause with everything. And that's exactly what she was in this match. She's wrestling with the whole cast on her arm, which was great. So Kanji has picked Shotzi for Nina Samuels. I really love this match.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be a 5-star like barn burner. This is going to be on the Dave Meltzer scale of things. I'm just there's a special place in my heart for this match only because I love seeing that now that Shotzi is back on the indies, she's just popping up everywhere. And
Indie
she
God.
is yeah, she is the indie god. Listen, that match between her and Matt Cardona at some point is going to be on and popping,
Yeah.
and I'm so here for this. Nina, girl, I love you too. And this was a lot of fun, and I think this showcase, Shotzi, the crowd was so behind her, of course. And I also love that everybody was so against Nina, which is good because that is how her character is. This was a fun little match. Ultimately, of course, Nina does pick up the victory, being a little heelish when it comes to certain things. But I like this match. I wasn't expecting it to be like a 5-star technical masterpiece. I'm just happy to see both these girls get some time to do the things that they need to. Andrew, what did you think of our second pick your poison match?
I really liked this match, actually. I thought they did a really good job of protecting the arm while not like they did a good job of protecting it while still keeping the match exciting. It obviously they played into the focal point. Your opponent has an injury, you focus in on that and try to take advantage of it, especially when the person that doesn't have the injury is the heel. So it would have been weird had she not kind of focused on that if they had just completely protected it and not had anything happen with it. But I think they did it in such a way that it made Shotzi look stronger because she was able to battle through it, take the damage that was done to it, keep going, keep pushing it. And what I really liked was what it showed for Nina is it gave us more taste of like how mean and ruthless she can be because she was trying to do all of her regular stuff, and when she needed to, she had no problem going right to that arm. She was just going right after it and unapologetic that she just went after it, didn't care. People were cheering against her, and she was just playing into it. So I actually really liked this match. This was another one of my favorite matches because of how they played with that existing injury and how it added to the match instead of kind of taking away from it. I like that we got a decent amount of length out of this match, which they could have just had a shorter match, especially because of Shotzi's arm. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I'm liking more and more of what I'm seeing from Nina since she's lost the title. And I don't know if it's because now her character has kind of a sense of like almost desperation because she was at the top and she could kind of rest easy there. But now she's lost that. And so she's scrambling to find that perch again. And then obviously the match that she's got coming up is a match where she could lose her spot permanently. And then you've got Shotzi who's just out here just showing up everywhere and anywhere. And when I mean showing up, she shows up. So I'm super excited to have her back out on the indies, loving to see everywhere that she's showing up. And obviously, I'm happy she's for now kind of a GCW staple. And I'm super happy got to see her here in Progress and face Nina. So awesome debut for her. Yeah, I thought this was good.
I agree with all your points too, especially when it comes to Nina, because now there's such a sense of desperation from her, realizing that this could come to an end come Stay Humble at the end of the month. And so I love seeing this side of Nina where now she is going to be pulling every trick she can out the book to do what she needs to. I mean, we saw her play smart with picking Lana for Kanji's opponent. And, she did what she had to beat Shotzi to keep up a momentum leading into Stay Humble. After the match, Nina cuts a quick promo where she tries to destroy Shotzi's arm. She gets to the top of the rope to what I'm assuming to do a sent onto the chair, which I'm like, no, don't do it. But she jumps out of the ring because Kanji comes in for the save. Kanji gets on the mic, and 2 points of this that I really love. Number 1, the crowd is absolutely funny. I love them because Kanji's like, "So everybody's heard that the rumors are true." And then somebody else is like, "Nina's a wanka." I was like, that is then Kanji plays with it too. But Kanji has made it her mission to cancel the Nina Samuel show once and for all and bring it to the season and possibly series finale. I'm like, story progression. But now I don't want nobody to leave
That's the
or
hard part.
leave in air quotes because who knows?
Yeah.
Wrestling We've had this happen in so many other promotions where somebody either retires or leaves, and then we
Yeah,
find a loophole to get everybody back. I mean, look at Cody Deaner in TNA right now. Cody
yeah.
Deaner technically did not get re-signed, but he's still there as the hometown man. Anybody who's been keeping up with TNA knows this is a ridiculous thing, but we'll be loving it in TNA. I have questions though, and Andrew will talk about TNA because there's a match that I'm excited about, but also worries me. But we'll talk about it offline. So this is what ended up the first half of our show. We get a little bit of an intermission where we get to see, commercials for progress, and then we get confirmation of Stay Humble, 100 volts. And then the next live show, which we'll talk about more in detail, happening in November, which is about 2 weeks before Vendetta, is Noisy Neighbor or Nosy Neighbors. I had to double check. I was like, "Is this nosy or noisy?" I was like, "These graphics are out of control. I love you, Progress." But we come back from commercial. We jump into the second half of the show. The second half is kicked off with this fatal four-way match. This was another match that we had to move some stuff around because Ethan Allen, I was about to say Ethan Page, wrong promotion. Ethan Allen ended up fading man like Derice, so he got a replacement in this match. I did some research on Mr. Adam Maxted. Come to find out, kind of a little bit of a reality TV star celebrity in the UK because he's part of Love Island UK. I watched one episode of the US version. I'm like, this is too much for me. This is out of control, y'all. This is crazy. But this fatal four-way match has Adam Maxted, as well as some folks that we are used to seeing. Of course, our lovable twat, Charles Crowley, everybody's favorite internet to personality, Simon Miller. And coming back from Super Strong Style 16 and representing Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan is Jack Morris, which I love seeing him. I was like, I liked you in the tournament. And this should be an interesting one. This was a quick fatal four-way match, of course. I enjoyed it. This was just to get the crowd ready for the second half. It was a little bit on the shorter side. It was like 6.5 minutes. I was like, I kind of wish we got 8 minutes, but that is okay. Simon Miller, there was a little bit of a scary moment where
Yeah.
where Charles Crowley did not jump high enough to avoid Simon Miller, and he got clipped. I was like, "Oh, no." I was like, "We just got you back from injury. Don't get
Yeah.
hurt." So, Simon Miller delivers a spear to Adam Maxted, but Charles Crowley would pull Simon off and steal the pin for the win. So your winner of this fatal four-way, Charles Crowley, and this is continuing the narrative that Simon Miller, since losing the Proteus Championship, cannot catch a break, and he is on a losing streak still. What did you think of our fatal four-way to kick off the second half of the show, Andrew?
I mean, I like that. It was really good. I mean, you have some solid, very experienced wrestlers in there. Adam Maxted looked good in there with some other more experienced people. So I thought he carried himself well, being in there and competing with them. Jack Morris is always entertaining. And I think really what this match was building to was the fact that both Charles Crowley and Simon Miller have called out for the Proteus Championship. We did get a recorded promo from Paul Walter Hauser earlier talking about the fact that he hasn't defended it yet. And because of things that he's dealing with, and obviously he's making movies, and as he was showing, he wore a MLW hat while doing this progress promo. So he's got a lot of commitments. So I like that we get to see these kind of story progress because I think what we're going to get is a showdown between Crowley and Miller. And I like the fact that Crowley stole that victory away from Miller because, like you said, it keeps his storyline going of him like on this downward spiral, and also of Charles Crowley being, the twat that he is. Because I love both of them. They're such entertaining performers, and I'll watch a series or however we're going to get to see them wrestle each other multiple times would be great to building to either one or both of them challenging for that title.
Well, we won't have, I mean, even though we have to wait about a month or so, it won't be too long because in that recorded message from Mr. Paul Walter Hauser that we saw, he said that he'll be at 100 volts in August to defend that championship, regardless of whether he's filming, has other commitments, not filling up to it. He will be there to defend that thing at 100 volts. I would love to see a triple threat between Charles Crowley and Simon Miller for that championship at 100 volts, which could be a really good place to do it because it is the 100th show in the Electric Ballroom, which is crazy that we decided that now we're covering progress and we get to be a part of that kind of milestone, which is crazy. But
And what a storyline, too, if it's a triple threat and Crowley wins the title, but does so by defeating Paul Walter Hauser. So once again, Simon Miller loses the shot at that title without actually being the one that lost.
Right. So this has been a fun story. I love both the Charles and Simon. Can't wait to see. This was a fun match to kick off the second half. And then we move right along into what our next match, which was so I will just say this. I enjoyed this match. This is definitely to continue to push Charlie Sterling as a singles competitor now that Smoking Aces disbanded at Fix Your Hearts back in March. And he is taking on RPD, who is more of a mixed martial artist fighter, if you will, than wrestler. How you did the head tilt. I was like, no shade against RPD, but we know some other wrestlers who have transitioned from MMA and mixed martial arts and jujitsu and all that into wrestling. And not to say it was bad. I don't want to be too negative. However, I'm just saying, say what you will, but like a Shayna Baszler, a Matthew Riddle, despite her being a little problematic when she at least first got there, Ronda Rousey too. I will say the best current example we have, because she is the Defy Women's Champion, is Marina Shafir. I think Marina probably is the most successful story right now of transitioning from that mixed martial arts background to wrestling.
I would say
So
Lola Vice is a great
Lola too,
example.
man. Lola's great. So,
Uh,
I didn't necessarily dislike the match.
no, I thought it was a good match. It was what it was supposed to be. Charlie Sterling was obviously going to win this. They're trying to build him up, which is great. They should. My biggest issue I had with this was watching RPD, and it had nothing to do with he was good in the ring. His gear and setup and everything, all I could think of was Mark Marrow.
Oh my god. You are so right.
But outside of that, I thought it was great. I thought, it did what it needed to do. It didn't need to be more than it was. I thought RPD put up more of a fight than just a traditional squash, which was what was needed. And, I want to see more. I don't mind seeing a few of these matches, but I want to start seeing Charlie Sterling get some bigger opponents so we can see where he's going to prove himself, whether it's going to be the
Mhm.
Atlas title, the Proteus title, the world title, whatever he's going to be going after.
Right, and I mean, again, not necessarily disliking this match, but I really enjoyed his match against Will Cruz at Super Strong Style
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
16, because I feel like that was a good indicator, well, for both of them, actually.
Yeah.
Will, we're gonna talk about you at the
Phenomenal
end of the
match.
show. Yeah, we're gonna talk about you at the end because right now he's in Japan. Will is in Japan right now, which is great for him. And I was just like, yes, learn that because you're probably gonna need it for your match at Stay Humble, which we'll preview at the end of the show. Charlie Sterling does pick up the victory here. I'm really hoping that we get to see a little bit more of a trajectory for Charlie as the year goes on for progress and see where he ends up. We'll talk about that because I would insert him in a certain feud, a tables match that's happening at Stay Humble with whoever walks out as champion there, but we'll talk about it when we get there. All right, so let's get into our semi final match of the evening. Okay, so this is no shade to the girls. I don't blame them because Alexis and Holly, you did what you had to do given with what you were given, right? So we get this match between Alexis Falcon and Holly Barlow. So it's like Alexis, former tag team partner of Charles Crowley. So the cheeky little bastards, as they were called, which I missed that name already. I was like, no, but that is okay. And Holly is a little bit newer to us, but I was like, okay, this should be fun. Before the match even starts, though, we do get on commentary, we get our Progress Women's champ, Rio, which I was like, I've missed you so much. So she's on commentary for this match. Alexis and Holly enter the ring. The match gets started. I was like, cool. Okay. This is more an exhibition match. This should be fun. Can't wait. This is fun. We get like 4 minutes into this match. Then Lana Austin appears at the top. She's supposedly here to support Holly, which causes a distraction for Holly, which allows Alexis to win in like less than 5 minutes. And I was like, progress, that's question number one. And then, of course, Lana attacks Rio, which is setting that match up at some point. I was like, I feel, and again, I'm not a booker, so please, progress, don't hate me when I say this. We love you. A shout out for y'all checking out our reviews and everything. Again, I'm not a booker. I feel, in my personal opinion, and with all love and respect, I feel we could have went about this a couple different steps to get the same result. I just feel really bad for Alexis and Holly because their match was secondary to Lana attacking Rio at the end of this match, which was very unfortunate for both of these girls.
Well, and if I'm remembering correctly, Lana got in afterwards and went after Alexis,
Right,
and
which
then
was also weird.
Rio was gonna get involved, but then Alexis fought off both Harley and Lana, and then Rio was just kinda like, "Oh, you got it? Okay, I see you. Good job," kind of a thing. It was super weird. I feel and especially with the way it started, I feel like this could have been a really solid match, so it was a bummer that it was cut short. Everything just kinda felt off, like, the ending felt off. The whole, like, post-match segments were weird. It felt clunky to set up, obviously, where they're going, and, you like you said, "Hey, who am I? I'm just some dude on the internet that's talking about my opinions about wrestling," but I think structure-wise for the show, I think this could have gone where the first Pick Your Poison match had gone. You could have put Kanji and Lana in the second spot, and then the co-main event or the semi-main event or whatever, put the Shotzi versus Nina, because then we end going into the main event with the lead up to Kanji versus Nina, which feels like I get that the title's not on the line, but there's a big thing on the line in
There's some
that
big
match.
stakes involved with that
Yeah.
one, yeah.
And that feels like that culmination is coming up sooner. So let's see that in the forefront because it feels like, first of all, the like Lana versus Rio seems like sudden. Like, like they're like, okay, cool. This is what's happening next. Like, oh, okay, cool. But I feel like we could have just like let that stew or something. But it just felt weird because the match was short. Everything else felt a little off. It did feel like there was a match in the middle of this storyline setup instead of like it being a part of it. And I would have liked to have seen more from Alexis and Holly because I really feel like they seemed like they were gonna have a good match. So who knows? Maybe we'll get to see a tag team match between all four of them. Maybe we'll see more build, whatever the case is, because I really like everyone that was involved in it between
Mhm.
these two as well as Rio and Lana. I think all of them could have some fun matches. I just feel like it could have been stronger.
Right. I would love to see a tag team match. I mean, again, we'll talk more in detail, but we did get told that Rio would be involved in some capacity for Stay Humble in a couple of weeks back at Electra Ballroom. So I would love for it to be a tag team and then her and Alexis can fight at, 100 volts for it. So we'll see what happens with all of that. I just felt really bad for Alexis and Holly in this one of how everything kind of got clunky towards it. But we got one match left, and that is what main evented or Far From Ordinary People. This is the rematch for the Progress World Championship. Champion Luke Jacobs taking on the Black Swan of Progress and Cardinal War. I actually really loved the promo package video that they played to kind of set up is like, this is why we're getting this rematch because Luke Jacobs was like, he's like, no, people are calling this out on the internet, and I am not going to sully my reputation. I'm going to make sure I win this thing in a definitive fashion. And I feel that's really cool because of the fact that we did kind of mention that the ending of their previous encounter ended kind of weirdly at Super Strong Style 16. But Luke Jacobs is like, I was not satisfied with with that ending. I need to prove to everyone that I can win this thing definitively. But not I was like, that's kind of a babyface motivation, but you're still kind of an in-betweener heel when it comes to this, but I'm here for it. Is it does I'm gonna be completely brutally honest. This was my match of the night. Like this is hands down. I was like, oh hell yes, this is great. Damn, they just brutalized each other. They were spamming, they were like, I need to keep you down, stay down, don't get up. Like
The last like few segments were just
like the
it
last two
was just
sequence
shot
crazy,
shot.
yeah.
Like, I mean, that he when Carnivore hit that package pile driver, then got him up and hit that powerbomb backbreaker. Oh my god, that was so and it was out of nowhere. I was like, "Oh, he's gonna scoop him up. Oh, powerbomb. Oh, no, on the knee. Okay." It just throughout the whole match, it showed the desperation, the drive that both of these two had to get that title, but also get that win over the other one. Yeah, I agree. This was my match of the night. This knocked out the tag team title match as my match of the night. I thought it was great. Yeah, it was awesome.
Again, I feel like, of course, with the ever changing scene of progress and who's in and who's not around for certain shows, Luke and Cara Noir, dare I say, are probably like your two leads for the men's division here in a progress, given their history with the company and everything. Which is very interesting too. Of course, we haven't heard any more developments because we talked about this during Super Strong Style and during the Vegas show too, because Rio and Luke were at WWE tryouts when they were in the UK. So
Mm.
nothing else has come from of it, but even still, Luke solidifies a win. It is definitive. He is still your Progress Men's champion. That finisher had me clutching my imaginary pearls. I was like, oh gosh. I was like, Carnoir died. I was like, no.
Yeah, I was shocked. I honestly wasn't sure, especially with the way that the last match went, who's gonna win
Honestly, I
this.
was still 50-50 until the
Yeah.
finishing sequence.
How it went down, like, I wasn't sure how the winner was gonna win, if it was gonna be clean, if we were gonna have something else questionable. It's funny, I noticed this during the match was obviously Cara Noir has the glitter, the gold glitter along his face, and I noticed at one point because they were both laying down that Cara Noir's makeup was getting smudged, so duller, and when you looked at Luke Jacobs, you could see the glitter on his body. It was like he was getting more like sparkly as Carnivore was getting duller. And then when the victory actually happened, I was like, oh my god, it's kind of like fitting because it was like he was stealing that shine from Carl Noir, and
Right?
it was good. It was so good.
See, I love when you say things like that because also these are the weird things that I think of
Yeah.
too from like small storytelling perspectives and that. Whether it was intentional or not, it doesn't matter. But you're right, because as the match went on and Luke Jacobs was getting more of the glitter from Car Noir on him just by wrestling, and Car Noir's face paint were getting duller and duller and duller by the end of it. And then to add the piece de resistance afterwards, Luke Jacobs does like the bow at the end of it, like he put on a performance, which was I was just like, golf
When
clap.
he used Cara Noir's choke against it and got him to tap out, like it was crazy. So I hats off to both of them. Luke Jacobs has impressed me since I've started watching Progress. And I've seen him pop up now in other places. And every time I see him, I put him up there with like Gabe Kidd and those
I
kind
need that
of.
match to happen. I'm not even going to front.
But it's just one of those matches where you're like, oh, this is going to be high energy, hard hitting, entertaining match. And it doesn't matter who you put in front of him. They're going to have to work for it. And we've seen that. And Car Noir coming out here and just putting into it. Like, I mean, we saw the storytelling from every moment that they were doing. We saw that from Car Noir. And so I'm interested also to see where we go from this. Like, obviously we saw, as we'll talk about, what's going to happen most likely next for Luke Jacobs. But what's gonna happen for Car Noir? Like, where does he go from this? What are we gonna see? I'm excited.
I am too. I cannot wait. And then to end the show, man like Darius comes out. He gets face to face with Luke Jacobs for teasing that match whenever that's going to happen this year. As Darius is won the Super Strong Style 16, which, at least from what I was able to research and understand, Darius gets a shot at that title at some point. So can't wait to see what happens with all of that. Luke Jacobs and man like Darius facing off is what takes us off the air for Far From Ordinary People. This was a really fun way to come back from a little bit of a break after Super Strong Style 16. Even my criticisms with certain parts of it, I still enjoyed this. And we don't have to wait long because Progress is still going to be busy at least for the next 2 months. So don't touch that dial because the progressives won't be gone for the progressive team won't be gone for too long, because in a couple weeks we'll be back at it again to review chapter 182, which is Stay Humble. And so far we got 4 things announced. Tomorrow we're going to get another match to announce, which is crazy. But so far Rio is set to be slated involved in action in some capacity, so who knows what we're going to get about that. But then we got some other really good matches too. Of course, as we talked about earlier, we are getting the Loser Leaves Progress match between Kanji and Nina Samuels. That match is going to be crazy. Just let them go ham, let them go crazy, like do all that fun stuff. But even outside of that, I'm still excited for everything else. Will Cruz is hopefully going to get revenge on Gene Money because we're getting those two fighting after everything that went down at Super Strong Style 16, and Will defecting from the group after being tired of being mistreated by the Money family, which I'm excited for. But the match I'm super excited for. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was gonna say I recently saw Will Cruz wrestle at ICW, or not Will Cruz, sorry, Gene Money wrestle at ICW, and his character is such a douche. But man, every time I see him wrestle,
So good.
he's so good at it. Like
I was like,
so
your
good.
character is trash, and we're not
Yeah.
supposed to like you, but I like you because your wrestling is fantastic,
Yeah.
Gene.
And his character is in everything that he does, which is so good. So I'm excited about the Cruz Money match for sure.
Yeah. I'm excited for that one, but also the match I'm also excited for. We didn't get it in Vegas, unfortunately, due to travel issues, but we are getting it at Stay Humble. Axel Tishel will be putting his title on the line against Mike DeVecchio, which I was just Mike, listen, I love listen, I have kind of been keeping up with Kudo. I love him. I think he's great. But I was just like, Mike, I have become a fan after Vegas, like, because they made lemons out of lemonade since Axel couldn't be there. But we're Axel's putting his title on the line against Mike DeVecchio in a tables match, which I was like, oh gosh. I'm like, "Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. I'm excited for all of that. And then, of course, in August, we have 100 Volts, which is the 100th show in the Electric Ballroom. And then Nosy slash Noisy, whatever it is, Neighbors back in November. This is going to be fun. I'm super excited. I'm so happy that Progress is back and now we're going to be fed for the next month or two. So this is great. Well, Andrew, I appreciate you being here to review another exciting episode of Progress. Between me and you, our summer is going to be packed. Like, jeez.
Yeah, you and I may not be back for Progress for until the end of this month, but we're going to be around for some other shows together. So definitely see this pairing around for a little bit.
Let me just put this out there, right? I watch all the wrestling and I'm here to support all these companies. I need these companies to stop wanting to fight each other on the same weekends. This is getting out of control. Because just this weekend alone, we got in order because I will be watching everything. I won't be doing report cards for everything, but I will be watching everything in some capacity. But it starts Saturday morning. We got NXT's Great American Bash. I'm excited because we are getting new challengers for Oba Femi. That match between Oba and Yoshiki Inamura from Pro Wrestling Noah is going to be slapping meats. It's going to be great because Yoshiki is not a small dude either. Sol Ruka versus Izzy Dame should be a really fun match. We are also getting a tag team match, which we're seeing our NXT Women's Champ, JC Jane and Fallon Henley take on Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe, also known as Mariah May. So that should be a really fun match as well. I'm forgetting what other match we have so far slated. Oh, I mean, we're probably going to get Ethan and Ricky round 3. And as Ricky has to go through Vanity Project this upcoming Tuesday. Listen, the name is stupid. The tag team name Swipe Right is stupid. But Vanity Project's wrestling, they're actually really good. I like Vanity Project. They are such a good tag team. Well, Swipe Right's a really good tag team, so that should be interesting. So that's the morning. Then it goes All in Texas for AEW. We are doing a watch along for All in Texas, which includes a Texas death match between Mox and Hangman Page, Mercedes versus Tony for the women's championship. So we'll see if Mercedes walks out as Mercedes 7 belts. We are getting winner take all Okada versus Omega, which is I'm super excited about. Swerve and Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks. If the Young Bucks lose, no, they are no longer EVPs. If Swerve and Ospreay lose, they cannot challenge for the world title for a whole year. And then, of course, we are getting our men's and women's casino gauntlet match. Gets the future championship shot at any time. And then, of course, the unofficial and unannounced matches. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a triple threat for the tag titles between Jet Speed, Hurt Syndicate, and then the Patriarchy. So Christian Cage and Nick Wayne. I'm not going to spoil it, but we have a TNT Championship match set in for All in Texas. But I'm not going to say nothing because that's spoiling for Collision, which is airing on Saturday. But I'm looking forward to that match as well. And then Saturday night is Saturday night's main event, which I'm debating if I really want to watch because as soon as Goldberg versus Gunther appeared on my screen, I was like, and we're doing a watch along for All in Texas instead. And then Sunday evening is WWE Evolution. I was just like, this build has been trash, but I'm watching it because the women of that company deserve everything from me. I'm excited for the match. We're getting Io versus Rhea, a battle royale. Winner gets a championship match at Clash in Paris later this year. Jordan versus JC for the NXT Women's Championship. And then Raquel and Roxanne Perez, now unfortunately since Liv got hurt and she's out of action, they will defend the tag team championships in a fatal 4-way with a team from Raw, a team from SmackDown, and an NXT team. So my money is on Alexa Bliss and Charlotte for Zol Ruka for NXT. And if I'm looking at Raw, the only real women's tag team we have is Maxine Dupree and Natty. But listen, if you're going to give me Natty Neihart, who've been killing it on the independents right now, that's the Natalia I need to see pop up in this match. Like, she's been killing it. NWA, Bloodsport, like, give me Natty Neidhart. Like, that's who I need to see popping up in this match. But as far as where you can see me and Andrew, we got a bunch of other stuff. We'll be back in 2 weeks for GC Live Watch Along for GCW Bash at the ballpark, where so far we have 4 matches. They announced a new one today. We are getting Deonna Purrazzo versus Jonathan Gresham. GCW championship match between Charles Mason and Effie, which I'm super excited about. Priscilla Kelly and Elena Black versus the Koger brothers. So should be a
Mhm.
crazy match. And then I have questions about this one, but I get it some capacity because it's building off of what's been happening on TNA where you're getting Mance versus Tommy Dreamer. And I was just like, GCW, I got questions. But you know what? Tommy Dreamer, like, fine, this is a one off, which also makes sense because the TNA stars are going to be in the area because the day after on Sunday is Slammiversary. So that's why we're also getting Mike Santana and Steve Macklin. Like, this is about to be on and popping. So that's the quickest, that's the most upcoming one where you're going to see myself, Andrew, and Adolfo too, who we have
Yeah.
inducted into the GCW cult. But Progress, thank you so much for always supporting us and rooting for us and always letting us know that we're doing a good job. Like, we love covering you, and we're so excited for Stay Humble, 100 Volts, and everything else to come up. I'm so excited. I know it's not until a whiles away, but I'm excited to see what shapes up in the next couple of months to lead us into Vendetta 3 because I'm super excited for that one. So stay tuned because that's going to be great. But me and Andrew are going to get up on out of here. Thank you so much for tuning into this review. We will see you for the remainder of our reviews this week. But until then, this is sayonara and adios. But remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic. More importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. From Andrew and I and the rest of the BC Wrestle Pod team, remember, we love you, love yourself, take care of others, especially in these unprecedented times. And remember, just stay true to you. Until next review, we'll see you later, but ta-ta for now.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's gonna happen next time? Well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.